So a subjective would be, your shoes. I personally know, I'm Eduardo Beckett, and I'm scared to go back to Mexico because I think that the Mexican government will go after me because I spoke out against them. I protested against them. I made a speech in front of the public. I denounced corruption. I told them a bunch of corrupt people over there, the government, specific government officials, not all. And now I'm scared. I have a subjective fear that I go back. And I believe that a reasonable person in my shoes would also have that same fear. So I'm giving you an example, right? So that's subjective, what I think. Objective is I guess the court is saying, okay, I hear you out, and you have your subjective opinion, but now I have to be objective. I have to be neutral, and I gotta think about other people and put your situation in the shoes of other people, and then I have to ask myself, would a reasonable man or a reasonable person or a reasonable woman, would she or he feel the same as you? And if you can meet both components, and then they can say, okay, well, you do have a credible fear of persecution. You have proved to us that you have a 1 in 10 chance that you will be persecuted. If it's under the Convention Against Torture or withholding or removal, then you would use the subjective component, and then the court would do the same thing. You would say, Your Honor, I subjectively, I fear because of all these reasons, and then he's going to do an objective test and say, well, a reasonable person in the same circumstances like you, was there a clear probability that you would be tortured or killed upon return to your country? And so those are just some components, the legal stuff. But basically that helps you because all you have to do, what you're doing for the court, is you're making your case particular to you. So asylum is never based on what's happening in general to society. Or we want to know what's happening to you. Who's persecuting you? Why are they persecuting you? Are the other people similar to you that they're doing this to? And on the basis of what? So what, when, why? And if you can show the objective, subjective, then you have a good chance to win your case.
And it's better to go through a lawyer when we apply for the asylum or submit by hand.
That's a tough question. Like I've seen a guy that came and consulted with me actually, and he did it on his own, but he had such a strong claim that he won because it was so clear on its face with the evidence that he had, the pile of evidence that I thought this is what I call a prototypical case. If this guy doesn't win, then I don't know what asylum means anymore. So he won. And so it just depends on each case. I always think it's better to have an attorney, but it all depends on the case. There are some cases that are so strong that you will win by yourself on the merits. But I would never tell anyone to do it on your own just because there's so many technical stuff that if you do something wrong or you fill out the application wrong, it could hurt your case. It could also hurt you for credibility, right? If maybe you write something and you meant it one way, but they think that you meant it another way, that can go against you. So I think it's always best to have an attorney, but I'm not gonna, I do recognize also though there has been some cases that are so strong that people have been able to win them on their own. But even immigration always tells you, don't do it on your own, get an attorney. And then Betsy wants to add.
No, just statistically, most people that go unrepresented by an attorney or an accredited representative don't win their cases. Statistically, looking at it, the statistics of it, they have a much better chance of being awarded asylum if they're represented.
They treat you a little bit better, to be honest. I think that when you're represented by an organization like ours, not just because I work there or like someone like Betsy, they will give you more respect. Because they know that if they make a mistake, they know that you're going to appeal. They know that you're watching them. They know that you know what you're doing. And when you go by yourself, the risk you take is that the officer is going to assume that you know nothing about the law. You don't know what you're doing. So he's going to do whatever he wants. But when you go through an organization, they kind of do everything by the book because they know we're watching them. And they say, well, we do something wrong, they're going to appeal. They're going to make a big deal about it. And so there is a difference, and I've seen locally, not asylum cases, just locally doing other types of immigration cases where I've sent clients in by themselves. And then they say, okay, how did they treat you? Oh, they treated me like, bad. And then I go with them and, oh, how are you? Have a seat. And real nice to them. And so you do have immigration officers out there that sometimes when you're not represented, they can mistreat you. But it just depends. It's a case by case. But anyways, to answer the question, I think it's better always to be represented. Anything else? Thank you.